People seem to love giving their power away. Stanley Milgram conducted the famous experiment that found that 65% of people would electrocute someone else if an official in a lab coat said, "The experiment requires that you continue." The official is now an expert, an ancient text, a psychic. Even members of secret societies give up some autonomy for the promise of the secret ways. Translation, the correct ways. We seem to still be in that room, still looking to that official, obeying. So how do you trust your instincts? Janja Lalich is an expert on cult deprogramming. She uses the beautiful metaphor of the shelf in the back of your mind. Janja had escaped a cult, and she said that throughout the experience, there were strange occurrences that she couldn't fully explain. Boom, on the shelf. A little odd thing here or a slip of the mask there. No matter. We just put it on the shelf and keep going full speed ahead. Until one day, the shelf collapsed. My shelf used to be industrial strength. After surviving my childhood, it took dating a sociopath for me to even stop for a second to question the shelf. That shelf was hanging on. I remember as I was fighting with him, his friends had all left him and labeled him a sociopath. And he was like, "Thank God you stuck around." And as we fought for the millionth time, I was mentally checking off the psychopathy checklist. And I was thinking, oh no, I'm not sticking around. I was forced to ask myself, if this relationship was false, what else was false? Crack. The shelf was really straining. Not not done yet, mind you. The shelf was there, just cracked. The reason it felt so ominous is that I knew about familiarity attraction as a psychological phenomenon, also called repetition compulsion. It meant that there was a high likelihood that one of my caretakers was narcissistic. If not, I shuddered to think sociopathic. I had been having debilitating panic attacks since age 10, and I also wondered, could there have been some origin? Years later, I was drawn home by a death in the family. I don't necessarily recommend confronting a sociopath, to be clear, but for me, it was the only way. I made sure to be around her in a casual setting so that we could be chatting and I could spring this on her. We were alone in a living room and we were looking at some workmen out on the deck arranging furniture. And we ended up joking that it looked like a ritual. Spotting my chance, I threw out almost as a joke, "Isn't it interesting that you took me to a ritual when I was 2?" Silence. She veered into a simmering rage, and when she finally spoke, she said, "My father taught us, you never hit him in the face." The shelf was buckling. She didn't ask what ritual abuse was. She wasn't confused by my request. She was defiant. She did not deny anything. She knew exactly what I was talking about because she did this. All those years ago, she orchestrated some kind of maximum terror that was more than likely the connection to my lifelong debilitating panic attacks. And the shelf was on the floor. People with a conscience worry a lot about being right. Milgram's participants were sweating, stuttering, digging their fingernails into their skin, and generally totally freaking out about being asked to electrocute someone. I had a whole relationship with my sociopaths. They had a stranger, an official in a lab coat. So what's the right thing to do? The good news is every narcissistic boyfriend, girlfriend, boss, or family member you've ever had is sitting on your shelf. You know who they are. You know how the story goes. You can trust yourself. These people are very fake, and when it's all said and done, you leave wondering who they're still lying to and what they're still pretending to be. Here's my favorite thing about humanity. Every single Milgram participant paused to question the entire experiment. 100%. Every single participant stopped and asked, what is this whole thing? The majority obeyed, but now it's you. You're the participant. You're sitting there with your hand on the buzzer. The official announces the experiment requires that you continue. What's it going to be?